I'm Rachna Khera, your host. Today we have with us Patricia Mukhim, editor, The Shillong Times, Koinu Hosel, journalist, and we have with us Samrat Chaudhary, writer and author. So, welcome everyone. And today we are going to discuss the Manipur crisis a little further. Patricia, my first question is to you. 10 of the MLAs have signed a petition seeking a separate state for cookies. Is it true? Around 20 MLAs from Hills. So, why other 10 MLAs have not signed the petition?
See, the others are also Nagas. We have to remember that the hills, they comprise of the Nagas, kukis, Meiteis. So, and even among the Kuki MLAs, there are some who are with Chief Minister Biren Singh. Some of them had gone for the campaign recently to Karnataka. I mean, leaving behind all the troubles. So, uh, there is this sense of disconnectedness between the Kukis and the Nagas when the need of the hour is for a united call, on any issue. If they want a union territory, or if they do not want to be under the Meiteis, who they feel has not been responsive in terms of governance, then they should have stood together at a time like this, because this is a very good time, I suppose, to push any agenda.
Koinu, can you throw some more light? Only 10 of the MLAs from Hills have signed the petition seeking a separate state from Manipur. So, why the 10 MLAs they have not signed the petition?
Ratna, it's very difficult to really try and understand why have the rest not signed. But I'm sure there is solidarity enough in all of them to have even come to a stage where they are able to put the signatures together for something as serious as, even talking about a home which is separate from where they were all residing. So I think that itself talks about the solidarity. That itself talks about something that is really happening to have come to a stage like this. For the rest of those who have not signed, I will not be able to comment. But this is a very strong statement and a very strong indication that there is enough hurt, and therefore they are resorting to a request or an appeal of a homeland which they believe would be more peaceful, which would be devoid of the kind of violence and absolute brutality and hatred that have been subjected upon, despite living in one land for so many years. So, yeah, that's what I would have to say.
Coming back to the same question, which Patricia, last time I asked you, that this is the first time that this kind of violence, even though Northeast and especially Manipur and other states, they have this kind of history of ethnic clashes, but this is the first time that such kind of violence, aggression, this thing has been reported. Who are these people who are behind this? Is it the community, is the tribe versus the non-tribes, or is it some kind of orchestrated campaign or something like, there were rumors about, these that some people were hired. So what is the current situation, first of all, right now? Has the things settled down? And who are these people who was behind this particular clashes?
Look, Rachna, in a clash like this, it is very difficult to pinpoint who started the fire. And that's why I have said that there is need for a Supreme Court monitored investigation, um, inquiry into this whole uh, kind of violence unabated for so many days. All these things need to go through a due inquiry process. But
Has the
whoever is
government ordered the inquiry?
No, no, I don't know whether the groups have even demanded for such an inquiry. But looking as a third person observer, one feels that is the first thing that's needed to cool down the tempers. Otherwise, this will continue to go on. And there's a state of insecurity at the moment. It will take a long time to bring back that sense of security. And then we have to remember that Imphal is the seat of so many educational institutions. Everyone has gone back and everyone has a story to tell. A story of aggression, a story of people sort of getting inside the hostels and trying to disrupt the whole chain of events. So it's a very, very, you know, it's kind of a very twisted story that needs to be unburdened and unbundled rather before we come to any conclusion.
Samrat, can you tell our viewers about what is the background of these tribes, the people living in hill area, living in valley? What is the background? Why there is so much of controversy over their origin, their identity? You have worked a lot in this area as a journalist, also as an author, also. Kindly inform our viewers about the main tribes, the major tribes, and why Manipur right now it is coming as part as one of the most disturbed states in India.
Well, first let me locate myself in the story. So I am also not from Manipur, an outsider, and I have no ethnic connection to Manipur of any kind. And so my view as an observer, a neutral observer in this whole thing, as far as the history is concerned, which is what you're asking me about, and the communities there, everybody knows that there are basically three major blocks or groups of communities
I'm
there.
sorry to interrupt you, Samrat. There is some like your voice is quite low. Can you increase the volume?
I don't know how to increase the volume on this.
Okay,
Uh,
okay,
so,
but we can hear
so
you. Yeah, please
yeah,
continue.
so basically, it's been widely reported. It is everybody knows that the basic communal groups over there, the main ones are the Meiteis, the Kuki and the Naga, the two tribal groups, and then there is also a small population or a relatively small population of Meitei Muslims who are known there as Pangals. Uh, the Kingdom of Manipur has uh, huge history, ancient history. They have these royal chronicles called the Chaitharan Kumbaba, which go back to, according to them, 33 AD, so about 2000 years. And it was this kingdom, uh, whose sort of control rested with the valley of Manipur as opposed to the hills and with the Meitei people. The kings were Meitei. And so there has been a sort of a division between or a difference between the hills and the valley, which goes back to historical times. There were sometimes friendly relations, sometimes relationships of conflict. It was not always bad. It was not always good. But there was a difference, definitely, culturally and socially between the hills and the valley. And in the hills, the old population is believed to be the Naga population. The Kukis are believed to have arrived later. And right now, the issue is one that is related to migration because there is a lot of sort of propaganda as well as suspicion or doubt that uh, a lot of the cookies are later migrants, that they have arrived recently. This becomes related to the situation next door in Myanmar, where there was a coup a couple of
Two
years
years
ago,
ago, there
and
was a
and
coup. Yes.
and a lot of there is a civil war actually, a low grade civil war going on, and a lot of people have become refugees. Now, most of those refugees who fled, the ones who fled towards India fled into Mizoram. But there is also some population which has of refugees which has come into parts of Manipur bordering Burma, and this has aggravated tensions which already existed. So the issue of migration is one which keeps cropping up in northeast India because it is surrounded by international borders, international boundaries, and so whether it is migration from Myanmar or from Bangladesh, whether it is real or it is just exaggerated fears of immense migration, we don't really know. But this issue of migration keeps cropping up again and again.
And unfortunately, like there is no clear-cut policy, refugee policy presently here in India. Like we have different policy matters for people coming from Afghanistan, from countries like Myanmar. So I agree with you. Yes, definitely. And what is this? If I have to ask you that. this kind of violence, this kind of kind of protest we have seen for the first time, do you think that it is going to trigger more violence or more kind of divide between these communities?
Well, I mean, when something like this happens, it becomes a part of the social and communal memory. Communities remember it becomes a part of history, and because it becomes a part of history, it is not possible to go back to what it was the day before this happened. You know that because too much blood has been spilled, and too many houses have been burned, too many churches, several temples. So now people are actually taking scores, counting. You know how many people of our community and how many of theirs, how many houses here, how many churches versus how many temples. When you have that sort of thing happening, then it is not a situation which looks like it will go back to the way things were before. Something it will go somewhere else now. It will not go back to how it was before.
My question, Patricia, to you is: you have written in, I think, in Indian Express that it's because the Britishers also they sowed the seeds for this divide, and a lot of fault lines exist between all this. Can you just throw some more light for our viewers? What is the confusion like?
No, the British have a very clear strategy in their minds. Everywhere in this region, they have separated the tribes from the non-tribes on the pretext of of protecting us from the uh, I don't know to protect us from what, but they call it exploitation from the non-tribes in the rest of India. But actually, I think now as we look back, it was actually to facilitate their missionary intent, to be able to bring their conversion agenda, and also to keep us subjugated in terms of our loyalties, that we will have more loyalty to the British because they brought in with religion, they also brought in education, they also brought in healthcare. Now, these are two things that we have to credit them for. We have to give credit where it's due. If I'm sitting here and talking in English, it's because we had missionary schools all over the place. In fact, that is one thing that the tribes owe a lot to the missionaries. But that is because perhaps the other missions, like the Ramakrishna mission, could not make much headway into the region. However, they have set up some of the best institutions in Meghalaya and in Arunachal Pradesh and other places. But perhaps they came in a bit too late. They came in uh, when the British had already converted a lot of the tribes. And they are not present, of course, in the hills of Manipur. They are present in Arunachal Pradesh. I know they are present in Assam. They are present in Meghalaya, but not in Tripura, maybe. I don't know if they are in the valley of Manipur, but certainly not in the hills of Manipur. So, there is this distinction that the British made us feel. They made us feel as if we are a distinct kind of entity, a distinct tribe, a distinct ethnic group that needs to be protected. Actually, what the British were doing was to protect their interests, because they had a lot of commercial interests also from these hills. There were tea gardens, there were all kinds of things. And yeah, and also they used the hills as a buffer against the Burmese, because we know that the Burmese were very, very aggressive, very cruel people. They ruled Manipur for 7 years, the 7 years of devastation that they call. They even came up to Kachar in Assam, and so it took a lot for the British to drive the Burmese away from Manipur and from Assam. In fact, the British very strategically used Manipur kings, their soldiers and all, to collectively drive out the Burmese. Then, without any consultation, they also gave away that very fertile Kabui Valley to the Burmese. And they made an agreement that henceforth the Burmese are not going to ever come and invade this region anymore. You know?
Yeah.
So it is in their interest, and we are now the recipients of all that politics, all the ugly politics. And really, we do not know how to handle these conflicts because we do not have conflict resolution institutions. Our schools and colleges have never taught us how to resolve conflict or even how to manage them.
But the communities, especially the tribal communities, are known, for the elders. They look after, they listen. So this elder voice is entirely missing, and there is no, we can say, the organizations, the NGOs, which can at least bring all of them together on one platform. And I think that is one of the major things why the violence keeps on escalating, and still there is a lot of fighting going on between the communities. So why is
See,
it so?
among the ethnic communities, there's a very strong sense of cohesion, you know, and, and then it's also true that they've always been made to feel the victims. And the other is always the aggressor, the other is always wrong. Now, as long as we hold on to that, we can never ever talk of peace, because peace means that you transcend your ethnic identity, that you think as a human first, and you also think how you can, negotiate the spaces that are available. The problem is that politics has also muddied the waters too much for us to be able to, to really come together as a people. Because politicians actually, they benefit from us, from the people hating one another, because politicians will then say, look, I have done this for you, and I would have done more for you, but the government in the valley, the state government, is not giving us the resources. These are constantly being peddled.
Samrat, can you just tell us a little bit more about the lives of the tribes, the communities, about their lifestyle, about the profession, about their upbringing?
People are people everywhere, and in today's modern world, everybody, they are just like us. There is no difference, and
The
so
Meiteis community, I came to know, they are quite advanced. They are all over the.
so I mean this sort of idea of entire communities being advanced or backward. I know that in fact in this present instance it was the issue of reservation which triggered it off actually. So the idea of communities being advanced or backward is definitely a part of this story. And so we see people on this panel. We have three people, and so I think the aspirations and education is similar. In the modern world, everybody is on the internet. Everybody is living in the cities. Everybody is going to similar schools. If
But
they
there,
can
but
afford
there is a fight
it.
for land going on. There's a fight for land going on. The Meiteis are not allowed to buy land even today. So the sixth schedule has not been there. So these are the points, I think, which I would like to now come back to Hoinu. You're just back from Guwahati. And do you think that the communities still they can have that kind of bonhomie, or they can still be there at one platform?
Rachna, I know that I've just come back from Guwahati, which of course is not home, because home I could not enter. Everything was in shatters and fragmented. My home is fragmented and burnt. And at this point, I think the wound is too sharp and deep for us to even think, are we going to be able to live together? The first thing is, are we going to be able to how soon are we going to, I won't say get over, but we are all still reeling under a deep shock, because a place like we've had history of conflict in the past, but they were confined mainly in the interiors. But when I say they confined in the interiors, it doesn't make the pain any lesser. But in a capital city of India, in a capital city of a state in India, you certainly do not expect this kind of mayhem. The lowest that a human could fall and attacking somebody's home. A home is a place that you symbolize with security. A home is a place that is not just built, of physical structure. A home is a place that means so much to everybody. It's a security. So when that is
attack, you really have, uh, you're lost for words. I am still reeling under deep shock. So is my family, and so a lot of people. I would say, the pain that I speak, it's just not for me, and I know there's so many people from both sides. The perpetrators are the least affected, I always say, but it's the innocent people who are always, caught in conflict like this. Whether we would be able to see eye to eye, it's too early to say. Let us just, I mean, even the government has not really taken stock of things. So let's let every day unfold and see which way. But we are absolutely waiting for an inquiry from the center. We are waiting for the state to put together its mechanism to assess the level of lost life lost, properties lost, and let us see. We're waiting for a strong statement that will have to come across as as something that, of course, to convince us, or to rather reassure that something is being done, because it has shaken the psyche of just not just the hill tribes, even the dwellers of the valley. I mean, we have not seen this magnitude of violence where people actually came and taught and pulled out people, and just burned their houses and clapped when cylinders bursted. It's human. It's inhuman, and I
Your
don't
house
think I
too
can
was
say
your
yes.
house too was burned.
Yeah, my house, everything that we built, just in a fraction of an hour, everything came down. So it is really too early to even say, are we going to be able to see our neighbors eye to eye? But when I say neighbors, it's not the Meitei neighbors, but on the contrary, our Meitei neighbors have been very, very wonderful. We've had, on a human to human level, we've had wonderful relationship. In fact, yesterday, one of my best friend, a Meitei whom I went to school, came to see me. That's the kind of, the spirit that we've always lived with. It's cracked. The fabric has been torn apart so deeply that it's difficult to even say which way are we going to go. What's in it? So we will have to just wait and let the wound
Still,
heal.
the kind of stories that we discussed today, how your Metis
Yeah.
friends are coming to you, they are extending support. I think there's still ray of hope that things will normalize soon. Hey, Patricia, again, I'm coming back to you. Meghalaya just have only five. The state government only has 5% in under its the forest land under its.
No, 4% of forest land.
Yeah.
4% of forest land is under the state. Land is not under the state. The state only has what we call revenue land. So largely, land belongs to the people, they say. Okay. Now, it belongs to clans, communities, individuals, so and so on and so
So,
forth.
so this is what my question is, that why government has ordered a survey on in Manipur, the forest land. What was the reason?
Uh, see, you can order a survey if you think that there is encroachment in the forest land, that there are some illegal activities carrying on there, or that forests are misplaced, misused. But you can do that with consultation with the people who are indigenous to the place, and who, where there is a hill areas council. Why were the hill areas council not taken into confidence before you went into that forest land, or before you evicted people from that Songjang village in it's a Kuki village? So the point is that it's seen as an aggression because there were no consultations. The tribes especially have great faith in consultation. They may be right, they may be wrong, but once there has been a consultation, they feel that they've been taken into confidence. Like this, they feel that, oh, this government doesn't care, it just does what it wants. So it just aggravates matters. We sitting here will not be able to fathom the kind of disruption that has been caused to the lives of people. And when will those lives be rebuilt? It's so easy for us to talk here. Think of people who lost everything in the fire. How are they going to rebuild their lives brick by brick? And the important point here is the total collapse of law and order. I think this should be taken taken up very, very strongly, because in state after state, we are seeing the law and order collapsing. We are seeing the police acting as an agent of the state instead of protecting the lives and properties of people. So this to me is very important, and we shouldn't lose sight of this.
Yes, definitely, because I also agree with you. The minute the Manipur High Court has ordered, the government should have anticipated, and should have taken steps. And people of Manipur, like I'm in touch with so many groups, communities, and people have lost faith in the state police, and they are presently they are scared. So I think it really needs government to take some strong steps to ensure peace and to win their faith back.
It is too early in the day, Rachna, to be talking of normalcy. We shouldn't even be talking about it, because from a distance we can talk about normalcy just because the state government has said, oh, everything has returned to normal, curfew has been relaxed. That does not indicate any kind of normalcy. Lives have been disrupted beyond repair. And it will take a long time for this government to even get a semblance of faith and hope from the people. They've given up. They've actually given up on this government. They think it serves only a limited purpose for a limited group of people. That is what one group feels. So for this government to get back its credibility is going to be a long walk. In fact, people are now asking for president's rule. They feel they might be much safer under president's rule because there will be no politics. So that is the kind of thing that people are asking for. They really have lost faith in the system. The whole thing about the police again is that they're composed of ethnicities, no? So whether they can be completely impartial in a conflagration like this is also very questionable. I want to also ask, 35 or 37 police stations were raided by mobs. The rifles were taken. And the other day, the chief minister in his press conference said, I ask all the people who have taken the weapons to come back and, return the weapons. Now, do you think people will just come back and return the weapons? What will happen to those weapons? Who are they going to be weaponized against? We need to ask these questions. And how were people allowed to take away these weapons?
So there's, as you said, there is no inquiry into any of the matters so far.
Yeah, there has to be a very specific inquiry into each of these issues.
That's the point. That's what we feel, that it's high time that the government should order an inquiry into, not only at the state, but in fact in all of these incidents, separately.
In fact, the central government should get this inquiry done. It should constitute an inquiry committee, because I don't think the state government will be able to do justice.
Hoino, what is your take on it? What do you feel the government should see, as you said that the people are scared? What do you feel that what should the government do to bring back that faith and that kind of normalcy in the state?
Rachna, it cannot be merely simplified in a sentence or in words or in opinions like this. It has to be really thought through, taking, of course, the people and understanding that Manipur is represented by a mosaic of people, culture. It is a mini India, like we've always said. It should consult people, not just people in power, but they would go beyond Imphal. They would, even when a center official goes, why is it that they do not go beyond Imphal? Why is it their visits are always staged? Why is the plight of the hill people always decided by just a few? And why do the center just resort to just meeting a few and going back? They have to go beyond the call of duty to understand that they're dealing with a state which has a very unique kind of proposition, structure, governance, and the total makeup of Manipur itself is very unique to the rest of Northeast also. If you look at Mizoram, if you look at Meghalaya, it cannot even be compared with the rest of the states. So all that has not been taken into account, and we are at a stage where it seems like there's no return. But as far as your question goes, it has to be deeply thought through with intention, with a good intention, not just as a call of duty, but they have to think and put their heads together. Really, this has to be taken very, very seriously because it reflects failures on many, many levels. The government, the party, the people, and of course people have felt a deep sense of betrayal. When I say people, I'm not only talking about the people, the tribes or the community that I represent. I also speak for my friends who are on the other side. I think there's a great sense of disappointment, a deep sense of betrayal, and we thought that we have got over a bloody past, but it's haunting us back, and to rebuild this, it's going to take decades. We have not even healed from the past. We are just beginning to build roads. When I say road, I talk about the physical as well as the other roads to progress, to peace. We have not even had that. We haven't even tasted that. We were just shown, and it is so deceiving, and it is deceiving us today.
Well,
Thank
hats
you.
off to you because you are one of the victims yourself. Many like you, hundreds of them, even though I don't know them personally, but like you have your house of birth. We know how you got your parents rescued from the mob, and it's good to know that they are safe, they are sound. And again, I really wish you all the best. And Samrat, that how this ethnic violence has erupted now, the lives of the people, especially in Manipur. Do you want to add on to something?
I agree with from Patricia and Heidi. I think the first priority should be to extend relief impartially to everybody who has been affected by this, because I think the immediate requirement is for help, and that must be reached first and foremost. But I think as Heidi says that it will take decades to heal, and I will let me put it in very blunt terms. Uh, The Sikh riots happened in 1984. Have they been forgotten? The Gujarat riots happened in 2002. It is now 2023. Has people forgotten about them? So these things don't get forgotten. I am not hopeful about people forgetting and moving on.
Patricia, do you want to add the concluding remarks for our meet today?
I sincerely feel we need institutions for peace building in this region. It's a region that is fraught. It's a region that is a tinderbox. Anything can happen in any state, and we are not even prepared to handle it. We don't know. We are so ignorant and illiterate about how to handle conflict, and neither do our administrators and politicians know to handle conflict. They, in fact, add more fuel to the fire. So, if we see, the problem with this region also is that we don't have a civil society. We don't understand the meaning of civil society. A civil society would have people from all groups. Even in Meghalaya, where we've had problems, communal conflagration since 1979, we don't have an inter-community group. The government at some point constituted what they call a Council for Communal Harmony. Now, any government constituted group is suspect because this group has never worked. It has not called a single meeting. I don't recall ever having heard of this group meeting. So we, the people ourselves, have to get together. We have to work at it. We cannot see, once this problem is over, we tend to forget and go back to our business as usual. This is where the problem lies. What Samrat said, we've forgotten Gujarat. Why has Gujarat been forgotten? Because the people from there, or all of us across the country, have allowed that to be forgotten. We don't speak about it. And now there's a danger to even speak about anything. You could be booked for anything at all that you say out of turn. Now, that fear is also very imminent and very real. But I think if we are citizens of a democratic country, we have to rise above all these fears and do what we have to do. We need to reach out. Not everyone is violent, not everyone is aggressive. So let's reach out to the sane elements in each community. That's the only way we can go forward. I can understand that at this moment, the people from the hills feel they cannot live with a government from Imphal. That's, the anger is too high. So, what is the way forward? I think the legislators from the hills have to sit together and think what they want as a way forward. It's not for us sitting here to prescribe that.
It's really unfortunate that even these 9 days, no one has come forward to push peace and to bring the things back to normalcy. Not even the government, not even the organizations, not the NGOs. The voice of the people, it seems, the voice of the people who really matters, who can really bring all of them on one platform is completely missing, and leaving the people of Manipur into a state of shock. They are all disturbed, they are scared, and all kind of things they're going through. I really wish that the government should intervene and take measures by which things should turn back, normalcy should be back in the state. And with this, I would like to thank all of you, Samrat, Hoinhu, Patricia, for again informing our viewers a little bit more about the Northeast, also the tribes, and about the Manipur crisis. And thank you all for joining me here on this show. This has been brought to you in association with the South Asian Women in Media. Thank you so much. Thank you once again.